Hello, this is Robert Clark, CEO of Cloverleaf Analytics, and I'm excited today to introduce some of the new capabilities that we have coming out in our next release. I'm going to do a very brief video here to show you two really cool aspects of our system. One being Tabulate, which really gives you spreadsheet-like capabilities within our system. The other being integration of ChatGPT. And this is just the first step. Okay, so as you're looking at the screen, you can see now we've got this Tabulate section here, and we also have a Tabulate button. So I'm going to click Tabulate so you can see what it looks like. Here you can see it's just like Excel. We've got all our formatting and everything at the top, similar to Excel. Now, what I can do is I can bring in content within the system from outside and import it as far as Excel spreadsheets, but I can also take data from within our system. So if you're connected to third-party data that you're bringing in, or if you're using your own data or other data. But in this case, I'm going to take content that I created, which is going to be the agent's written premium. So I want to take a spreadsheet that I have, and we'll pull up here, that shows us the agencies, the target premiums, and then the actual premiums. Now, and this is a pseudo scenario, but in this case, in order to update this spreadsheet, someone has to go in and enter in the actual premiums. I'd like to make this dynamic using our new Tabulate capability, so I'll show you how we can do that. Now, normally you would just import this and attach live data, but I'm going to do it on a step-by-step case so you can see how you can use functions from within Excel that you're used to actually work with live data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this data, and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to come over to my spreadsheet here, my Tabulate, and I'm going to paste it. So we have you could paste the formulas, paste the values just like Excel. I'm just going to regular paste it, and then I'm going to resize my columns so we can see our target, our actual premiums. Now, as you can see, these are just numbers. They're not calculations. They're coming from the database. Now, I want to replace these with live data. So to do that, I've created a discovery that's just agents and the premium that they've written. It's a very simple discovery, just drag and drop, two fields, and I'm going to pull that and drop it into my spreadsheet here. And now you can see we've got our agents down here, we've got our premium here. Now I want to use the Excel function that's a lookup to actually look up the value to give me the actual premiums. Now the cool thing is if I know Excel really well, I can just hit equal, start typing lookup and do it, or you can use our helper functions. So up here we've got a little function button. I can click on that, and now I can go in and I can look at different database functions, time functions, logic. In this case, I just want to use the lookup function, and when I click on the function, I can just choose the values. So the first thing I'm going to do is look up Donnelly and Son, right? From that, I want to look it up from this list. So this is my lookup list. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. This is all agents. I'm going to check that, select that as my lookup, and then I want to return the written premium. So I'm going to come back up to the top here, and when one of those is chosen, I want it to return the written premium from here. And so I will select that as my written premium. So I'm going to apply that. And now we can see it says, well, Donnelly has 36,177 in written premium. These are the actual premiums written and stored in the database. So let's look at Donnelly. Let's scroll down, and we should have 36,177. So if we find Donnelly, here it is, 36,177. So the lookup is working properly. Now it's looking up against live data. So now I want to copy this down. So now if you notice, this is already set to static, but I want the number 2 to change. So I'm going to take the $ out. So if you're familiar with Excel, $ means keep that value the way it is. Don't allow it to change as you copy the formula down. We want the 2 to change so that each one does its own lookup. So I changed that formula slightly. Now we're going to copy it down. And now we have the lookup values for each one. So now it's live data. We have the actual target premium, the target premiums to the actual premiums. And I'm just going to do a ratio. Target actual to target ratio. So very simple. Again, we're like Excel. I'm going to copy my format and I'm going to paint it over here. So now we've got the same format. Now the next thing I want to do is do my formula. So it's Excel, so I can do equals this, our actual premium divided by a target. And so we can see it's around 98%. Now let's change it to a percentage. And then again, we can copy our formula down and we can get the percent for each one. Now the neat thing is that I now have this live actual to target ratio, and each day I can come in and see this updated with live data from the night before or even real time if your system supports real time. Now what I want to do is I'm going to take this and graph it. So I'm going to highlight my agent and target premium here, and then I'm going to hold the command key or the control key and I'm going to highlight our target percentage values. So that way I can put all of this into a graph. The nice thing for graphing here is I can just come over to our graph part tab, and then I can hit column, and I'm going to do a column chart. Now it's created a graph. The target to actual to target ratio is on the bottom, the target premium is on the top. I want to combine them, so I'm going to do, instead of these both being on the same y-axis, I'm going to create a secondary y-axis, and I'm going to move our target ratio to a line. And so now we've got our percentages on the right, we can see our ratio, and then we can see on the left our value for our actual to target. This is great. I can save it. I can put this on a dashboard, live, interactive, come in and see it daily. I can subscribe to it. Very quickly, I took a Excel data and I made a comparison. Now the beauty of this is you can take existing spreadsheets that have all your calculations in where you're constantly putting in your numbers, and you can now put in live data and use your existing formulas. When you import them, your Excel spreadsheet, it will actually import your formulas as well. So works great. Next thing I want to do is do a quick overview of the ChatGPT integration. It's really integrated in two different areas, in the data models and then in the front end, in Tabulate and in our dashboards. To do that, I'll start with Tabulate. So do new tabulation. And then what I can do is if I'm not sure of a formula on how to do something, I can ask it how to do that formula. So let's put in a simple date like 1/15/2023, and then let's put in 3/14/2023, and let's say I wanted to get the number of days between these two dates. Now, knowing Excel, I could do that very quickly, but let's say I didn't know Excel, I could simply come up to the ChatGPT button and ask it. What are the number, and I can even simplify it. Instead of saying all of that, I can just say, calculate the number of days between C3 and D3. I'll hit enter, it'll go out, and now it's calculated it. And it says there's 58 days. So it's used the day calculation. If I wanted to do something that, any kind of calculation, I can come in and ask it to calculate it. So let's say I want a random number. Well, you actually have to do it through ChatGPT. I'm actually adding the cell. So random number between 100 and 150. I hit enter. It's now created the calculation, rand between 100 and 150, and it gave me 125. So it can help me create my calculations and things if I'm not familiar with Excel. If I'm familiar, I can just type my calculation in. Okay, that's one area. The next area that I want to show you is in the presentations, which is dashboards. The nice thing about dashboards is we integrated ChatGPT in really two different areas. One is to be able to help you create content and design your screens. So in this case, on the presentation background, you can go to ChatGPT to decide and design your presentation background. So in this case, I'll say color of Cloverleaf Analytics website. So it's going to find the dominant color and change it to the background. So if you notice our logo in the left corner, it matches. I can also ask it to generate a non-copyright infringing image, which basically it's going to create an image out of the blue. So I'm going to say generate image, and I'll say automobile driving off into the sunset. So let's say that we're having a nice dashboard that's going to show that kind of as an image in the corner for our auto insurance dashboard for our agents. So we can hit enter. It's going out. It's generating a unique image that only exists in this context. It's actually, well, it's kind of like artwork. We'll give it a second to generate, and there we go. It's some kind of a vehicle driving off into the sunset. It can be very creative, that's for sure. And then we can go and resize it, and put it up in the corner, and make a nice little icon, and then put all our live content for our agents to see and create something like that. Now, the last place where we've integrated ChatGPT, which really illustrates how powerful it is in our data models. Now, this is where we can work with our machine learning that's built in, cleansing, geocoding for our mapping, if you're mapping storms and things like that. But also, if you're wanting to do sophisticated calculations on inline data, but you're not sure how to write in Python or R, which we have fully integrated, you can do that in a number of ways. And one of them is having ChatGPT write the Python code for you when you're wanting to calculate a value. So I'm simply going to take a text file here. I'm going to upload a CSV file. Those of you who use our system know that you can go in and you can use a URL to connect to a web service and actually get data that way by making requests and authenticating. But in this case, I'm just going to pull over some data. In this case, it's a claim export. So it's now pulled the data in. I'll add the node. And so here's our claim information. We've got policy, we've got a claim number, we've got losses paid, and the loss reserve. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go down to scripting, and I want to pull in Python or R. If you're familiar with Cloverleaf, you can pull in the market, and it's all pre-developed scripts and things like that that you can use that are written in R and Python and customize them to your liking. Or you can use ChatGPT to write some custom scripts for you. So here we can see we can go in and write our own script. I'm going to click here on the ChatGPT icon. And up here, I can describe what kind of code I'm looking for. So let's say calculate loss development factors for a loss triangle using Clark's method. So if you're an actuary, you're familiar with Clark's method of calculating loss development factors. In this case, ChatGPT is going to actually write the Python code for us to do it. I hit enter. It's now calculating it for us, and here we go. So now it's going to do a data frame, it's going to cross through the ranges, and it's got two nested loops to actually calculate the loss factors. And so there's one way of doing it. If I wanted to calculate earned premium, calculate earned premium using the daily method, or you could put in 1/24th method or any other method. I hit enter. It goes through. It's now calculating, determining the best code, and now it's actually written the code for us and given us sample data. So what we would do is we'd replace this sample data with, as you can see down here, input sources that are coming from our data, and it's going to output the policy ID with the earned premium. So it's going to calculate it for us. I didn't write a single bit of code. You can see it's commented and everything. And then to even make it a little easier to understand, to trace through the code, there's an explain feature here. I click on this, and it actually goes out, dissects the script itself, and then explains to you how it all works. After that, the daily premium is calculated by dividing the annual premium by the 365. Using the daily premium in the policy days, the earned premium is calculated for each policy. So it actually goes out and calculates all this. So any kind of formula you're looking for, ChatGPT will be able to write it for you. Okay, and you can apply it, then you map your source data coming in to your formula, to your new calculation, and this will calculate out your earned premium. In this case, it won't because this, well, I think there is, no, there's no premium. This is losses. This is an example. And so that really shows you a lot of the power that's coming from adding in ChatGPT really to help us code new calculations and things like that. We have the new tabulation, which allows us to use existing spreadsheets, put in live data, and then graph it, or to create our own spreadsheets within here with multiple data sets, joining them together, creating calculations. So there's really a lot of power in here, and I'm excited to be able to introduce this in the next coming couple of weeks. This will be released, and I think this really will extend the capabilities of Cloverleaf Analytics. So I'm glad you took the time to watch this video. If you have any questions, please feel free. Go to our website. We've got our support site as well. Send us any messages. There's a chat bot you can ask us and talk to one of our live agents, which would most likely be Michael. And hopefully we'll get to see you soon. Take care. Thank you.